Hi and welcome to Good Look TV. Today's episode 1 of our long-awaited podcast, The Event Cast. Today we're joined by Regional Director of Sercys, Rodney Payne. Rodney, thank you so much for coming on today and for your time.
Pleasure, thank you.
So how have you been? How's the family? How have you been coping through all this?
No, the family are good. We're safe and obviously looking forward to coming out of this lockdown as everyone is, I guess.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I mean, look, we're here on level 39. I was about to say 38.
Yeah.
We're usually on 39 and 40 for when we do our events here. I was concerned about a little bit of echo and reverb, but it's actually worked out really well. The views are absolutely stunning. I mean, we've done multiple events here and every time I come here, I'm completely blown away by it.
Sure.
So tell me, where did it all start for you? How did you get into events and how did you end up with Sercys?
Well, I'm a chef by trade. So I started cooking 30 plus years ago as a young chef. I worked my way up to executive development chef up to 17 years ago, and then moved over into full operations management. My first 7 years of my career were in what we would classify as the B&I industry or the corporate market for the first 7 years. But 10 years ago, I joined Sercys as operations director, but was more recently promoted to regional director.
Excellent. Wow. So in terms of our viewers that some of them may not know what Sercys are about, would you mind giving us, but they've probably dined at plenty of your venues that you manage and cater for. Would you mind just giving us an overview of Sercys and how they started? Because I know they're one of the oldest catering companies, founded in the 1800s, right?
Yeah, so Sercys, the oldest catering company, we were formed in 1847 by a chap called John Searcy. In terms of the venues or the markets we operate, we tend to operate in three markets really. Obviously cafes, restaurants and bars. We do have some small part of our business is corporate business, but also we work in the events industry as well. A number of our locations, as you said, people will know of, which are obviously the champagne bars and the restaurant. The St Pancras Brasserie is one where people tend to go along to fairly frequently. But also a lot of our revenue and profit really comes from the events business as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge business and, you know, it's been really heavily impacted over the last 12 months. Difficult to kind of, how have you guys coped with, you know, because the infrastructure and you must have such a huge workforce and employees and stuff. How did it work for you?
I mean, I guess like every other hospitality business in the UK and obviously on the planet, it was a tough year. The first 3 months, we obviously had to focus on reducing the cost because the country was in a physical lockdown. But as we looked to come out of the first lockdown, we felt it was important for us to not to disappear. And that meant opening the businesses that were able to open with the restrictions that were available. And essentially, we've obviously had to respond to the conditions. But we're in a good place now. We're stable and we're looking forward to come out, which hopefully will be the final lockdown.
What do you envisage for the future of events and hospitality after this? I mean,
I think in terms of, it's helpful to have a roadmap. And clearly the roadmap has got some set dates. So, you know, we see that the parks and gardens within our portfolio, so we have properties at Blenheim Palace, where we operate the Orangery restaurant and 3 cafes, and we've got a space down in the New Forest, which is the Exbury Gardens. They will come out of lockdown first because clearly, you know, the roadmap suggests that. And phase 2 for us really is April the 12th, which is quite a clear marker. We see that we'll be able to open the champagne bar and at the St Pancras Brasserie because that's recognised as an external space. And the Gherkin, where we're seated here today, we're looking to open that space on the 17th of May. The trickier part of our business, if you want to call it that, is the events industry. So the part of the business where we look after events are places like the Barbican Centre. We've obviously got the British Academy at 10 to 11 Carton House Terrace and the Vintners Company, which is not far from here. So there are a number of events venues which will probably not able to trade until after that June the 21st date, which is the one that we're all looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, you look after the HAC as well, don't you?
Yes,
that's
we do.
A massive outdoor space. I love it there. It's in Moorgate for those that don't know. I do imagine outdoor will probably be the way forward, and I think people will feel a lot safer outdoors to begin with. That's not to say indoor events won't be okay in large numbers. I think it's about restoring some trust and confidence for a little while and then building it up gradually. I think we'll be okay because we've started to get a lot of inquiries for Christmas now for quite high numbers. So I'm confident that by that time we should be back to normal. I mean, they say June, but again,
I mean, I think what we've been really looking at is obviously talking to our customers, because obviously they're giving us a clear indication of how they feel about what's sitting in front of them. We're seeing a number of inquiries confirming, especially for larger events in 2022.
Yeah.
So that obviously suggests there is confidence in that kind of marker beyond December, if you like. This year is slightly trickier, but clearly after June, when the restrictions lift, we see that we'll be able to satisfy a number of inquiries around summer parties and events and all of that good stuff. But certainly the conversations with customers and obviously the confidence that the vaccine has given us suggests that Q4 for 2021 should be a strong one, especially with Christmas at the end of that as well. So we remain hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of events rescheduled from 2020 to 2021, but the first part of 2021, they wanted to reschedule it to 22 as they weren't, there was still some uncertainty. So we've still got quite a few in 2022 that were meant to take place this year. But but things can change within a minute, it can change quite quickly.
Sure.
So,
and I think for every business, it's about remaining nimble, speaking to your customers. Obviously we've got reopening plans now that we have a roadmap. And just making sure that you're adapting and evolving those plans as you learn more, as we're having to on a kind of weekly, monthly basis.
Yeah, no, excellent. So in terms of, we're unable to do live events, you were unable to operate as a restaurant or bar. What were you doing for revenue?
I think, last year, as I suggested to you earlier on, the parks and gardens where the outside spaces were very helpful. So we're obviously being able to trade there. The other piece is really looking at e-commerce as well, and almost sort of turning some of our attention to the digital platforms we operate in. And it's as simple as just letting your customers know that you're still there. It could be as simple as selling champagne or other things through e-commerce, other experiences. But really, that's been a good way of our customers knowing that we're still around, and the loyalty that our customers have shown have been really impressive.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I mean, it just goes to show, obviously, there's a lot of companies that haven't made it through the pandemic. I know a lot of companies that have folded, event companies, caterers, marquee companies. It's been a really difficult time. So anyone that's come through this is quite commendable, really, especially such a large organisation like yourselves that with so many overheads and, revenue right down to, I mean, openly speaking, we're trading at about 20% of capacity.
Sure.
Because we were doing virtual events from an event management perspective, but obviously for caterers like yourselves, it's a different, probably a little bit more flexibility with how you could operate.
Yeah, I guess we obviously went into the first lockdown around sort of March the 20th. Date seems to stick in your mind. But, we obviously in the first quarter, you look at removing as many costs as possible, as every business has had to do. But really, we've been speaking with our partners and our clients and really negotiating a fair and equitable deal, if you like, that allows both parties to kind of work our way through this. But it is worth noting that Sercys are fortunate that we have the support of a parent company, which is WSH, who've really guided us through to a position where we can be stable with a view to looking to recovering the business in the coming weeks and months. It's fair to say that without that support, I'm not sure we'd be here today, and we thank them for that. Yeah,
no, that's great to know. In terms of the properties that you manage, for example, here, the Gherkin, HAC, Blenheim Palace, how have they been in terms of kind of helping you sustain through the whole process?
Sure. I think, as I said, the negotiations, by the nature of the word, needs to be from both parties. I think, where our clients have been extremely supportive where they can. Not everyone has been able to support us in the way we want to, because obviously everyone has the similar issues to us. You've got a business that you've had to mothball. But as I said earlier on, it's about finding a fair and equitable balance that allows both parties to continue working together, because clearly the crisis is affecting everyone. So it's important that you work through that partnership together, through the bad times as well as the good. And obviously we're now able to look forward to recovering the business in the coming weeks and months. And I think that partnership relationship will stand us in good stead.
Do you envisage a boom? I mean, I think the hospitality sector in terms of bars and restaurants, people cannot wait to get back to having a meal, a few cocktails on a roof terrace and getting together with their friends and family. In terms of events, companies, I bet they can't wait to start putting on events again for their team, because nobody's really done anything for a year. Stress levels are quite high, I imagine.
Well, if anyone is like me, we're desperate to get out and do stuff again. And, I think, the communications that we've had with our customers and our clients over the last year allows them to recognize that we're still here. And we've seen some really impressive statistics when we've reopened the business, even in that uncertain time of 2020, where we were opening businesses and closing them 3 weeks later. The loyalty and really the support that the customers shown by turning up to our venues was really impressive. But equally, even since the roadmap was laid out just over 2 weeks ago, we've seen a huge surge in inquiries for events, but also bookings for spaces like here in St Pancras as well, because obviously we've opened a digital portal. So there's definitely a pent-up desire, a pent-up energy, which is the phrase everyone keeps using, to get out and do stuff again, and we'll be there and ready for them when they're able to do that.
Sure. In terms of staff, so, bar staff, waiters, waitresses, chefs, they haven't been able to work for the past 12 months, really. It's been difficult. In terms of hiring staff again, how much of a challenge will that be for you?
I think, what we've done is we continually consult with our teams. We talk to them all the time, either formally or informally. Like the customers who are desperate to get out and do stuff again. Clearly our teams are, there's only so many times you can tidy the garage or clear the kitchen up. They're desperate to get out and work. So we speak to them regularly. And, now that we're starting to look at our reopening plans, which obviously sit alongside the kind of the roadmap out of this COVID crisis, the teams are excited about coming back to work, and we really look forward to that, because that's the heart of what we do in hospitality. It's about people.
That's brilliant. I think it would be great for people to get back out as well, whether it's to work, whether it's to get out and about, shopping. I think people have been stuck at home with the kids for far too long. If you're working from home, obviously we've had to scale back. We had the 7-desk office in the city, but now everyone's working remotely.
Sure, and I think, we put out a couple of adverts around the positions we're looking to fill now. Obviously, we've got our teams who remain loyal to us and are keen to come back. And I think, that's the good news part of the situation we're in, because, as I said earlier on, the first 3 months were focused internally on protecting the business as we learnt more about the crisis.
Sure.
But in terms of going forward, bringing the people back into our business and really just seeing the delight on their face around coming back to our properties, which we know they love, will be reward for that.
I mean, it's amazing how many people hospitality employ in terms of how much we contribute to the economy. I think it's something like 40%.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, the economy surely have missed that.
I think so. This as an industry has always been there. I certainly remember when I told my parents and my family I wanted to become a chef, I remember that noise ringing in my ears when people say, well, you'll always have work because people always need to eat. So we never foresee a time where the whole hospitality industry in the UK and clearly across the planet will close again. There's a renewed energy and a renewed appreciation for the hospitality industry. So we will see that bounce back very quickly.
No, we've seen that as well with the inquiries since the announcement was made a few weeks ago.
Sure.
People are definitely looking to get back into events for sure. And I imagine it'll be the same as soon as the bars and restaurants open up. Like I said, people will be flocking. You'll be operating at half capacity, I take it, or reduced capacity to begin with.
Yes, I think we will. I mean, clearly we would need to look at the restrictions and how they work. The one thing that we have done is we've got COVID secure plans in all of our venues, and whether it's cafe, retail, restaurant, bars, we have our head of safety who will work to advise our general managers and our clients on how we need to operate as the restrictions unlift. And then what we'll also be doing is evolving those plans as we learn more. Obviously, social distancing will play a part.
Of course.
The vaccine will give us more confidence. But as things move forward and we learn more around how we can operate either events, restaurants or bars in that environment, we will evolve those plans as well.
That's brilliant. I mean, once the restrictions are lifted, then I guess there's no changing staff briefings and everything else, you know, we can hopefully. I know it seems like it's far away. It's far away from that, but it is possible. I think where we've been in this predicament for so long, people are kind of pinching themselves. They can't actually believe that we'll be out of this soon.
Yeah, and I think one thing we can't ignore is consumer confidence, because you're absolutely right. It's quite clear that on the 21st of June, the restrictions will be lifted, all bets are off, etc. But we still need to be mindful that customers may not feel as comfortable bouncing back to what it was pre-COVID. So we need to make sure that consumer confidence plays a part in our plans as we reopen the business. So we need to be careful of that.
The main aim of this show as well, the podcast, is to help younger people and restore their confidence as well, who have studied event management courses, for example, for many years in uni, only to finish their degree and find that the industry is non-existent. So what advice would you give to the younger generation who want to get into events and hospitality to restore their confidence and make them feel as if they're making the right decision?
Sure. I mean, my position holds in terms of this is still a very exciting industry. It's very rewarding. You can make a very good career in it. You'll have the most amazing life experiences. As I look back over my career and I look at the experience I was able and fortunate to have, a lot of that is down to the hospitality industry. So, and also we should almost look at the loyalty and support that the customers have given us. The desire and the interest around what we do hasn't gone away. It's the restrictions that have not allowed it to open, because obviously we had to deal with the pandemic. You've only got to look at the amount of restaurants which are now selling their menus, packaging them up into boxes and sending them to customers to finish at home. Who would have ever thought that would have been as successful as it is now? So again, that's just a clear demonstration that the interest in what we do is still there. And I think for anyone who wants to come into the industry to make a good living, have the opportunity to have unique life experiences, the hospitality will come back. It will come back slightly differently. It will be stronger for the challenge, but it's still there and it's still as exciting and as rewarding as it's always been.
Brilliant. That's great advice. So Rodney's kind of going to be giving away a dinner for two.
Yes.
At Sercys once we reopen.
Sure.
We'll be announcing the winner in a couple of weeks, so I'll keep you posted on that.
Okay.
But I'd like to say, Rodney, thank you very much once again for attending the show. It's really great to have you on. Wise words. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. And we hope to have you on again sometime soon, once we're up and running again and it's the events industry's buzzing.
Great.
It'd be great to have you back here, but thanks again.
That's a pleasure. Thank you.